The Cathedral Church of St. Philip is the Church of England Cathedral and the seat of the Bishop of Birmingham. Built as a parish church and consecrated in 1715, St. Philip's became the cathedral of the newly formed Diocese of Birmingham in 1905. St. Philip's was built in the early 18th century in the Baroque style by Thomas Archer and is located on Colmore Row, Birmingham, England. The cathedral is a Grade I listed building. St. Philip's is the third smallest cathedral in England after Derby and Chelmsford. History. Foundation. St. Philip's Church was planned when the nearby medieval church of St. Martin in the Bull Ring became insufficient to house its congregation because of the growing population of Birmingham. The land, previously named the Barley Close, was donated by Robert Phillips in 1710. It is one of the highest points in the district and is said to be at the same level as the cross on St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Following an active Parliament, construction commenced in 1711 to the design of Thomas Archer and was ready for consecration in 1715, when it was dedicated to the Apostle Philip as a tribute to the benefactor Robert Phillips. It appears to have been Archer's first church, apart from a rebuilt chancel at Churchley attributed to him. Construction was estimated to cost £20,000, but the final figure was only £5,012. This was because many of the materials were donated and transported to the site at no cost. St. Philip's served as a parish church from 1715 to 1905. The church contained St. Philip's Parish Library, which was bequeathed to the church by the Rev. William Higgs. In 1792 a library room was constructed next to the parsonage house by the Rev. Spencer Maiden and was named the Parochial Library. Cathedral. With the growth of industrial towns in the 18th and 19th centuries, there was a consequent growth in the number of parishes, and a need for new administrative centres. Birmingham became a city in 1889. While the cities of Liverpool and Truro constructed new cathedrals, in a number of other cities existing churches and ancient abbeys were raised to the administrative status of cathedrals, through the actions of the statesman Joseph Chamberlain and the Bishop of Worcester, Charles Gore. St. Philip's became the Cathedral of Birmingham in 1905, with Charles Gore as its first bishop. Second World War. During the Second World War, the cathedral was bombed and gutted on the 7th of November 1940. Its most significant treasures, several windows by Edward Burne-Jones, had been removed in the early stages of the war by Birmingham Civic Society, and were replaced, unharmed, when the building was restored in 1948. Architecture. St. Philip's was designed by Thomas Archer and constructed between 1711 and 1715. The tower was complete by 1725, and the urns on the parapet were added in 1756. Archer had visited Rome and his design, in the Baroque style, is influenced by the churches of Borromini, being rather more Italianate than churches by Christopher Wren. The rectangular hall church interior has aisles separated from the nave by fluted pillars of classical form with Tuscan capitals supporting an arcade surmounted by a heavily projecting cornice. Wooden galleries are stretched between the pillars in a manner typical of English Baroque churches. Externally, the tall windows are interspaced by pilasters in low relief, supporting a balustrade at roof level with an urn rising above each pilaster. The western end is marked by a single tower which rises in stages and is surmounted by a lead-covered dome and a delicate lantern. The building is of brick and is faced with stone quarried arches as stated umberslade. The original shallow eastern apse was extended in 1884 to 8 by J. a Chatwin into a much larger chancel, articulated by strongly projecting Corinthian columns. This bold design is made richer by the marbled surfaces of the columns and pilasters, the gilding of capitals and cornice, and the ornately coffered ceiling. Chatwin also refaced the exterior of the building because the stone from the original quarry was very soft. The tower was refaced in 1958–59. Edward Burne-Jones, who was born in nearby Bennett's Hill and baptized in the church, added to the enhancement of St. Philip's by the donation of several windows, of which 3 are at the eastern end. The west window, also by Burne-Jones, was dedicated in memory of Bishop Bowlby in 1897. 6 of the monuments have heritage listings, including one commemorating 2 men who died during the construction of Birmingham Town Hall and a memorial to the victims of the Birmingham pub bombings. Thomas Sterling Lee's statue of Bishop Charles Gore, vested in convocation robes with his right hand raised in blessing, is located at the west entrance. A large Portland stone obelisk commemorates Frederick Gustavus Burnaby. Besides Burnaby's bust in relief, it carries only the word Burnaby and the dated place names Khiva 1875 and Aboukli 1885. These refer to the Khanate of Khiva and Battle of Aboukli, respectively. He was killed at the latter. The obelisk was unveiled by Lord Charles Beresford on 13 November 1885. Upon completion of the building, it was decided to prohibit monuments from being added to the interior. Cathedral clergy. Dean, the very Revd Catherine Ogle. Canon Missioner, the Revd Canon Nigel Hand. Canon Liturgist, the Revd Canon Janet Chapman. Music. Organ. The organ, originally built by Thomas Swarbrick, still dates in part from 1715. It underwent repairs during the late 19th century and was moved from its original position in the gallery. It has been restored, enlarged and modernized several times, most recently by Nicholson's in 1993. Details of the organ can be found at the National Pipe Organ Register. Organists, directors of music and assistant organists at St. Philip's Cathedral, Birmingham have included composers Charles John Bloodmejim, Richard Yates Mander and Rupert Jeffcoat. Choirs. St. Philip's has a traditional cathedral choir of 20 boys and adult lay clerks who sing at the principal services. Since 1992, there has been also a choir of girls who sing at several services a week. The present director of music is Marcus Huxley. The choir has received invitations to sing at other cathedrals and venues, and the girls' choir has sung with the well-known soloist Emma Kirby. Bells. Following the completion of the tower in 1725, Joseph Smith of Edgbaston provided a ring of 8 bells which were subsequently augmented to 10, the tenor weighing approximately 2,600 weight. These bells were to prove unsatisfactory, for in 1751 the vestry resolved to have them recast by Thomas Lester of the Whitechapel Bell Foundry in London. The new bells were slightly larger than the previous, with a tenor weighing 29 long CWT 0 QR 18 pounds in the key of D, a total weight of 125 long CWT 3 QR 1 pound, and hung in a wooden frame. Throughout the late 18th and 19th centuries the bells were well used. However, from 1906 the bells had become unringable, due in part to concerns about the safety of the tower. Ringing was briefly revived in 1921, but when the coronation of 1937 provided the impetus to restore the bells, they had been unringable again for several years. The 1937 restoration installation was carried out by the Croydon bell founders, Gillett and Amp Johnston, the bells being recast and hung in a cast-iron frame at the base of the large Louvre windows. The same foundry cast 2 additional treble bells in 1949, given by Frank B. Yates, to complete the ring of 12 bells that exists today. The tenor bell weighs 31 long cwt 21 pounds and is in the key of D. In 2004, Whitechapel Bell Foundry carried out rehanging and refurbishment of the frame and fittings, including further strengthening work to the upper frame and the installation of a viewing gallery, accessed from the original belfry doorway. Brian Yates, grandson of the above Frank Yates, was the principal donor for this project.